back to it. Don't be just a passenger. Don't just ride startup weekend. I want you to get passionate and get in there. I don't want you to fight for ego's sake. And instead, fight for product's sake. So you're meeting new people on an event like this, this weekend. Don't fight just because this person's dragging you up the wall on something. Fight because you want to make that product and that experience better. Second one or third one there is cart before the horse, product, experience, and what the fuck are we doing? All right, this is basically, I know we all registered domains and whatnot, but if you guys are already thinking about like renting space in town for your startup and you haven't built anything yet, that's an issue, in my opinion. Whoa, you want too much, you know what I mean? You know, like, I went ahead and quit my job, I'm ready to start. Okay, you fucked up. I'm hoping that you haven't done that yet. Now, I know that sounds hilarious, but the first startup weekend, that was the vibe. The vibe at the end of the weekend was like, is it? My wife? Yeah, I quit my job. Yeah, what are you doing? I don't know yet, but it's going to be great. I was like, whoa, that's a big deal. Dude, we got a blog, make a press release. This is the whole thing where you're like so excited about like your awesome thing that you can't explain yet, but you're going to call Channel 4 later. Like, no, go back to the drawing board, figure out what you're making. Building the wrong shit first. This is like, you've been in there for 12 hours, and you come out and you have like an About Us page, and you're like, don't do that. Figure out the stuff that's going to make me think you're special. Anybody here can make an About Us page. But not everybody can make something that, I've re-engineered what Google took, 12 months to do. I'm going to do it in 5 hours. That's kind of sexy. Even if you've lied to me, you told me the story that you're doing it. That's still sexy. Whiteboard Wonderland. I think last year I saw this a lot, where you walk in the room, there would be this huge process map, and all these this box goes to this box, and that box goes to this box. And then you sit down and ask the person, they're like, well, we made the whiteboard thing. Like, okay, that's still not coding yet. It's still not faking it yet. So don't get trapped on the whiteboard. This one you can't read very well is taking a hit off the pipe and telling the story of the future town. This is like, you come in and you're like, well, this is going to happen, man. It's like, people are going to come in, and they're going to sign in, and then it's going to be awesome. Like, don't go to this, totally super future place that no one can relate to. You know what I mean? The VCs, the venture capital guys love that one because they're like, so what are you doing next? I mean, they get really serious when you're like, yeah, people are just going to do everything. The last one is creating a pitch deck full of bullshit numbers. I know we're on a college of business here, so I probably can't say that one. But basically, it's like, don't show me a bunch of valuation charts about how you're going to make $64 million by 2018, because that's all bullshit. I'm willing to put $1,000 down on the table that you're going to fail within 90 days. So just don't project about stuff. Own what you think that you can do and execute in 6 months, or shorten it. Own what you think you can do in just 90 days. Okay. So the sooner you can come to grips with your startup reality, the faster you can benefit from its residual effect. I came to me last night at 3 in the morning. Yeah, right before I said it, and I thought, damn, that's pretty sexy. I like that. And the idea there is the faster you can come to grips with whether or not, the current decision that you have about your startup is either real or fake. The sooner you can come to grips with whether or not you think you can execute this current idea or you need to pivot. It's all about pivoting and all about making the next move matter. The more you can benefit from that residual glow of either fuck yeah, I made a decision, I can move on, or I'm not going to be paralyzed. I think that's really hugely key. Because even if the idea fails, just fail faster, and then get back on the horse and get on something new. The startup weekend in 2008, we did spot work. Someone came up to us and said, here's 50 grand. We're like, wow. Okay, we took that 50 grand, we made geometric, and failed. Okay, Big K Labs, and then we built 24 concepts since then. Just gotta keep it going. So you think building it is hard? Just wait till you get to finding people to give a shit about it. So now you built it. That was a big hurdle, but now you gotta find somebody who cares about it. And there's a whole sea of people out there experiencing identical products, identical services. Everyone's fighting for attention for the consumer to care about their product. finding people that really care about it and give you feedback. That's the hugest hurdle out of all of this stuff, is feedback. You can make it, you can spend 20 grand on it, you can spend 100 grand on it, but if no one gives you any bit of feedback on it, then the law. Okay, so the Big Kitty Labs prototype process. The first thing I do, we do what we call idea interrogation. I'll talk more about that. We do some research, and I'm hoping that some of you guys are doing research. Now, a lot of you guys are just jumping right into building it, which is cool. But if you can show research, that can really make people on Sunday believe you more. So one of the things that we did on our 2008 startup weekend is we talked to consumers on Saturday. We talked to like 25 people and got all this data to help validate and kind of test our assumptions. And that was a huge win. We didn't have a working prototype, but we faked it. And we had that data. That technology dive, this is kind of like jumping into the APIs and what's out there. A lot of them you see is like we have a 1, then we have a 2.2, and then a 3.3, and 4.4. A lot of those things are running in parallel. We build a user persona. After we get some data, we try to figure out who our user is, how they're motivated, why they're using it, that kind of stuff. We do a sandbox and stealing. Sandbox is basically we go and we dedicate a space, we kind of build this fantasy land, we build all the stuff we need to kind of make it work. We do mock-ups and experience diagrams. Mock-ups we're familiar with. Experience diagrams are something that we kind of made up. It's basically going through and taking screenshots of all the different things that you can steal. It's like a Mr. Potato Head process. I want this kind of Facebook interaction, I want this kind of Twitter thing, I want this kind of process, and you put it on one big map, and then you can sort of tell a story without, spending the 9 hours and wireframing it. 4, just build it. A lot of you are doing that this weekend. That's awesome. In our process, we have iteration 1, and then we have a party. It's always a blast when we take an idea that was on a napkin at Panera on a Friday night, and on Wednesday we have our first iteration. We're like, awesome, we just made something. It didn't exist like a week ago. We have a little party, and then we go and we try to validate it with some people, and then we build another iteration, and then we show the client. We do a lot of work for other clients. We never show them the first iteration. The first iteration is always an ugly baby. It's just not ready yet. At 7, we try to break it. So now we have it, and it's like we get the new toy, and then we're like, we try to break it as fast as we can, so we can start weeding things out of it. 8 is this huge process of another iteration. 3, 4, we test. 5, 6, test again. 7, launch it. We launch it as fast as we can. 8, we apologize. Hey, we made a really crappy product. Are you having a good time with it? That's a really great place to get feedback, is to actually make something that people intentionally will hate. Sometimes you need to almost like shock the user to get them a reaction. So it's just so incredible to have feedback. And I know that sounds super counterintuitive to build a real fatal flaw in whatever you're designing. But you have to get someone to tell you what they want to fix. And if they don't tell you how to improve your product, then you can't innovate. Because then the frame of reference as far as innovation goes is just you. And you can't do that. You need data. Test it again. Find a frickin' rev model. That would be nice. That's kind of in that process. Because by now you've kind of gotten to the point where you've got some steam. You're going fast. 11. After that, it's ales. That's what Tashara always tells me after we're like halfway through the project. He's like, we gotta get some ales. We're getting some good flow here. That's good. Ping some press. I think it's always good to tap the press once you feel like you have something that's show-worthy. At some point, you need to make it sexy. That's kind of when you need to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit and figure out some of that awesome user experience stuff. You can build it on the front end, or at least early on, to do it awesome.